Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to turn my volume up, so I hope that sound is okay for everybody. Thank you for that lovely introduction. It's lovely to be in touch with Bradford again, absolutely, and to see everybody. And I love Margaret's comments about the sunshine. It's definitely been like that here. I believe 53 degrees or something, according to some thermometer or other. And definitely it's been a cup of coffee outside, sitting and just enjoying. Lots of blessings to the sunshine. Lovely relief to have it. So it really does feel like spring is in the air. And I, like Margaret said, I like that topic. It's letting go, moving on. And I always feel that spring is a really good time to look at newness, which is really what letting go and moving on is about. And when we look at the blurb, if we're looking at, seeing it's about thinking and what we want from our future, really. And so today, sharing some of the wisdom that might help us on our way a bit. So I thought I'd just do a little introduction to this process, or a dynamic, whatever you want to call it, of letting go and moving on. And then I'm going to split it down into more specifics. So if you wanted to scrabble about a bit and have a pen and paper handy, we might do something that you can scribble on, no problem. If not, really just, I know for myself and most people I know have pen and paper anyway when they come to anything on Zoom these days. You never quite know what's going to happen. So a sort of introduction, and then some specifics, and then some questions and answers, I believe, and then a final reflection at the end. So that should take us towards 6:30, and tea time or dinner time, depending on where you live and what you call it. So I am coming at this from really an exploration of my own journey, rather than this is what you can do to fix yourself. Because I'm just aware that everyone will be at different stages of their spirituality or their learning, or different understandings of themselves. And so this is what I'm going to share, is what's currently in my own exploration, what's in my radar at the minute, given the theme, because we're often sent beautiful invites. Could you share a little bit? Several weeks beforehand. And I like that. It gives me a chance to really think about it and to apply what's going on in my life at that time in the light of whatever topic I've been asked to share. And really for me, this journey, a spiritual journey, a reflective journey, an inner journey, whatever you want to call it, it's absolutely that. There's some theory. I need information. I need to gather. I need to listen. I need to write things down. I need to process. And then I need to get out there and apply it. And this is research in real time about our own lives. So one, I can research it. I can read about it. I can listen about it, listen to it. I can hear other people's stories about it, and it will all stay in my head. Actually, when I'm in situations that are generally quite challenging, or even today, cup of tea in the sun, quite relaxing, let me think about these things. Let me base them onto whatever's happening, and let me see what comes back. What realizations do I have? What learning am I having? And we'll talk about this sort of in the sense of a passive or active kind of learning, or how we might deal with letting go and moving on. Is it very active or is it passive? Anyway. So, changes are coming up all the time, and really it depends on where you put your focus as to what you see as a challenge. So we're also going to look at that. And maybe the first thing to accept or understand about life fundamentally, and this thing about letting go and moving on, is that everything is changing all the time. Whether we are aware of it or not, whether we like it or not, whether we resist it or not, it's being everything. So the weather's changing, the seasons are changing, my body is changing, circumstances are changing. And I think this last year has been really clear about that. We've had new language, We've got language like lockdown, and we've got medical terms we didn't even know existed. We've learned about how the body works. We've learned about autoimmune systems. We've learned about different places in the world. Maybe we've learned how to deal with social media, how to get on it and how to get off it. So everything is changing. Everything is moving all the time, whether it be external or in that sense, or maybe my own wants and needs. Maybe it's just my feelings about life, what I want out of it, who I want to be in it. And so everything is constantly changing. And there's this paradoxical phrase, isn't there, that the only constant is change. And so for me, what that means is, in the light of this letting go and moving on, is having a sense of future as well. So it's not just about now, it's not just about trying to deal with maybe some letting go and where do I move on to? We'll come to that later. But definitely when change is happening, there is a future. I move through time, I move through different situations. And of course, in the existential world of debate, time is just something that we've invented, like we've invented the clock, and so we can say now it's 5 o'clock and in an hour it'll be 6 o'clock. So, okay, no problem. But there is a reality about change happening, and externally and internally. So, you know, how do I want to use that really? How do I want it to be? Not just at 6 o'clock tonight, but in 6 years' time, in 6 months' time, in 6 days' time. Do I still want to have the same thoughts and feelings? Maybe if they're beautiful, yes. If they're not so beautiful, well. So what kind of life do I want? What thoughts do I want? How do I want to feel? And so, as I mentioned before, being really quite active about that, how do I bring that about? And really, we start with being easy with change anyway. So, question for yourself, you know, write this down if you have a pen and paper. Am I okay with change? Am I okay with uncertainty? And maybe we don't get a chance to think it fully through yet for yourself. But certainly this evening with your meditation, if that's what you do, or tomorrow, you know, are you okay with change? Are you okay with uncertainty? Are you okay with feeling unsettled? And I think we've all had a go at this, haven't we? Again, this last year has been a real invitation to check, am I okay with change? Am I okay with being uncertain? Am I okay with not being in control? So, you know, I do feel as well, so I'm still going out to work every day. I work in a special school actually, so that's me out there. So I can see, definitely, I've had a very different experience from quite a lot of people who have not been out there, who have not been getting up and going about their daily routine and commute every day. I've been with, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60 people every day, some of them small and some of them big. And so for myself, I can see I have just got on with it. And anyway, my spiritual background, my meditation background has helped me get on with it. But in any case, I've just got on with it. So I might say that I don't actually like some of it. I don't like it, but it's got to be done. And I think that for many people, whether they've been at home or whether they've been out and about, they've just gone on with it. Doesn't mean I like it, right? So let me just state at this point, just because we do something doesn't mean we like it, doesn't mean we agree with it. Maybe we just apply ourselves and we move through it, and we don't resist so much, and so we move it forward, and it's a little bit easier, not challenging. And the flip side of that is if I am really challenged by it and I'm really struggling and I'm really resisting, then that's going to be a really hard chapter in your life. And again, I know that we've all been through this pandemic and however you call it, however you see it. There's a reality about those who have been moving through it easier, letting go, moving on, letting go, moving on. And those who have been really challenged by that, can't let go, can't move on, very stuck, very resistant. And I sit here as a work in progress. I also sit here as not really judging any of that, not judging myself and not judging it, just watching it, just watching and learning, really. Do I want to be blocked and stuck and tired and drained because I'm resisting change? Or do I want to be free and easy? Do I want to feel safe? Do I want to be able to respond calmly? So question number 2, what do you want to do? Be easy, be safe, clear. Note, I don't mean necessarily agree with things. This is a different kettle of fish. But there's something about letting go where I don't have to agree with something. I don't have to believe in something, but I can decide for my own well-being to move on, move forward. So we'll come back to that as well in a little while. So do we embrace the chaos? Or do we be curious? Is it a chaotic journey, but I'm curious about it? Where is it going to take me? And I let that go and move on because it's going to take me somewhere else. It's going to free up some energy or not. Question 3, do I embrace the journey? Am I curious, I suppose? And what are the consequences for me if I don't let go? If I don't move on, if I don't find tools which will help me to let go and move on, what will be the consequences? And again, I suppose I come back to that, blocked, everyone feeling down. We know that generally internationally, I suppose, but certainly nationally, lots of reports on mental health and people being really challenged. So, no problem, again, no judgment. But let me ask myself that question. So certainly whatever happens, things change, we move through time, there will always be challenges or events that demand from me more than I feel I can give. Is that right? So we love staying in comfort zones because we can control them, we can cope with them, and it stretches me a little bit, but please not too much. And one of those things that stretches is this thing about letting go and moving on. Again, coming to this a little bit more. And one tool that springs to mind, or one quality or value or muscle, if you like, is this thing called resilience. And of course, resilience is something that mental health, psychological practices are aware of, and they teach as being able to keep going well. So when everything around you is falling over, resilience, this ability to cope with change, the ability to ask for help, the willingness to be flexible. Yeah, this is a very valuable trait. So again, we'll have a little look at this specifically later on. And I suppose when we look at the reasons why things are so challenging, change is so challenging, this is my own learning as well, my own realization. So this is back in the early days of my getting to meditate and to look at this spiritual path of Raja Yoga. So Raja meaning king or the highest, and yoga meaning connection or yoke to the self. So I reconnect the highest potential that I am, So right at the beginning, I sort of understood that I am carrying this illusion that, I am this, I am that. And the illusion is that we can all stay the same. And we walk around like this, and this is a very passive way of living, really. We've invested our identity in our relationships, jobs, finances, the model of my car. And I use these and I take them all on to define me. And so when they change, I don't know who I am anymore. And again, we've seen that absolutely radically all over the world. My job has gone, so who am I now? My finances have collapsed, so what does that say about me? Relationships I had, maybe some have passed away, some have moved on, I can't see them. So where does that leave me? You know, who am I then? Because if I define myself by everything around me and it changes, where does that leave me? So one of the reasons we resist the letting go and moving on is because we're frightened. It means I have to change. I have to change. And well, as I've just said, we don't really like change. Well, we might like change, but maybe we don't like change. Maybe we don't like change when I have to change. You change. You let go of that thing that I did last year that got us into that trouble. You let it go, and then we'll be fine. So we can see that for, you know, much of the world, all of the world, in terms of the sense of loss that people are feeling right now, losing jobs, losing money, losing relationships, and also having to be with themselves more. So not just that I am losing my definition of myself because I can't be with all of these external things. By default, I am being forced to be with myself. And again, for many people, if you're still carrying a load of emotional heaviness, of anger, of fear, of blame, you know, that's a huge ask, right? If I've got nothing to offset that with, nobody to talk about that with, nobody to blame, then where do I go with that? So it is really challenging. And I suppose what I might say on that point is that what I'm very clear about now, and maybe because you are on this forum, you are also clear about, is that if you have looked at deeper elements of thoughts and feelings, if you've been looking at action and reaction and short and long-term consequences of life, then even though letting go and moving on can be hard, nevertheless, it means I have a vision of a future that I want. I want a future where I'm peaceful. I want a future where I'm stable. I want a future where I'm calm. I want a future where I'm with a community that I own with, you know, and where there's no conflict. And so, in that sense, yeah, what do I want to do about that, really? So, the topic today is great. Okay, that's what we've said. And I was also thinking that moving on involves a sort of tipping point. So a tipping point, if you're not sure about that, a critical mass, sometimes it's called. And sometimes I heard a song many years ago, and it was about a Rubicon, and I liked the words of it. And when I looked it up, this Rubicon was, many of you might know this anyway, it's the bridge that Caesar crossed. Because once he crossed that bridge, there was no turning back. So moving on is often there's a tipping point. We have a thought process, we change our feelings, we face ourselves, and we have a realization. And maybe I don't know what's next, but I get to the point where I'm ready to change, I'm ready to let go, and I move into that newness. I move into that space of letting go. And another reason why it's scary, of course, is because there is that sense of, well, you know, once I do it, there's no turning back. Once I make those decisions, once I come to terms with something in my life, I don't want to go back on it. And that's also a kind of confirmation bias, as the psychology comes up with all these terms to define how we are and how we think. And one of these biases is that once I align myself to something, I don't want to change my mind, you know. And often there's things like maybe I don't like my neighbor, very much. I have never met them, but I don't like the sounds they make, or I've watched them out the window. So I have this sort of mindset. Then maybe one day I'm coming up the drive and they need a bit of help, so I help them. So now this clashes, my helping them clashes with the fact that I don't like them. So now I adjust my bias and I think, well, they're not too bad, you know, they're okay after all. Because I must, for my own sense of self, here's the illusion, right? For my own sense of self, I must align my thoughts and feelings with my actions. So the fact that I've helped somebody means I must like them. So, oh my goodness, the games that we play with ourselves in this sense is fascinating. So once I've moved forward into a sort of commitment of moving forward, I want to do that, you know, and we don't want to go back. And yet also, again, research suggests that human beings don't like voids. We don't like a vacuum. So if I'm going to let go of something and I'm going to move on, I have to build where I'm going before I cross that Rubicon, before I cross that bridge. And this is where in spiritual development and self-development, we talk about affirmations, we start to read things which are beautiful, we start to meditate, that we are building a sort of scaffold, if you like. We're building a new me, a new thought processes, new feelings, new understandings. So when I finally do let go of something, when I finally do cross that into that, and I tip that feeling and I tip that energy, I have somewhere to go. Because if I don't have somewhere to go, what happens? If I don't have new thoughts and new feelings to focus on and enjoy and nurture, if I don't have a new relationship to go to, then I will just fall back on the old stuff because it's easier, because it's familiar. So part of this moving on, letting go, moving on is to fill the gap first, fill this potential for the future, fill it with beautiful, inspiring things before you walk across your bridge, committing fully to the future. Again, I'm assuming these are the things that attract you. So you've already on some level begun to build that scaffold and have begun to think about some of these things. So whatever's going on in the past that you're ready to let go of, you have something to go to. So now I think what I'd like to do is sort of break down some specifics. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that what's coming up now are things that I've been honing in on specifically. They may not ring any of your bells, which is fine. They're just unpacking some tools really and some levels of understanding a little bit more deeply. And this is where you're welcome to jot things down if you like, and see how it feels. Anyway, maybe. So I've broken down the word let go, the words let go. So here we go. Here we go, letting go. So the first L for me is for the learning. So my whole life I have loved learning, I've loved new things. And I guess I've been fortunate enough to have people around me that say, yes, go try that. If it doesn't work, no problem. Come back. There's always a bed for you. There's always food for you. Go explore. And this is fantastic. So that is my fortune, but I'm sure all of you in your own way have that support system. So my own experience of learning is that it can be actually either very passive, and in the light of this moving on and letting go, you know, so I can get tossed and turned and tossed and turned by the things that life, we use this phrase, throws at me. And I think, what's going on? And I come out of it and we're all over the place. And we have to run hard, metaphorically speaking, to catch up with what's going on. We are unprepared. We are unprepared for the challenge, and I'm unprepared for the letting go. So for me, learning is actually a very active form. It's a very active processing. It's about asking questions. It's about looking in between the layers. It's about researching. It's about informing myself. And in the light of spirituality or self-reflection, what can I read? Who can I listen to? And also the other side of that, can I just sit with myself in silence? Can I fill up with peace and power? Can I generate my own light? Can I generate my own deep, deep sense of self? So instead of just waiting for things to happen and being thrown around by them, I am generating feelings and a vibrational state, if you like, that matches my knowing. And I allow these feelings to come. I'm not going to be frightened of what I see or how I feel. And I'm trusting that at some point, the knowledge that I've gained, the reading that I've done, the talks I've listened to, will align themselves with my own inner silence. And they'll come together and there'll be this, we call it a realization, right? The realization is not just the theory, but it's the feeling as well. So I definitely need this thing called meditation, and we'll talk about that a bit more as well. So I need theory and I need practice. And in the realization that these dynamics offer, then I'm in a great place to let go. And I might not even be aware that I've let go of something I've been hanging on to. And the only way I know is when I come across that situation or that person again, and something is different. The feeling's different, the guilt has gone, the embarrassment has gone, the blame has gone. And if we come back to why would I let go and move on? Because I want a future, do I not? Question, do I want a future that is calm and stable and free and easy and flexible? So the E in let go is for expectation. So we spend so much time, well, this is my own experience, right? We spend so much time and energy keeping up with what we've got. So we see the house, the job. Something which has become really, really important is physical safety and security. We spend a lot of time and energy sort of keeping that buoyant, keeping it clear and secure. And sometimes we forget that there are bigger things, that there are, there's higher order thinking, there's esoteric, gorgeous visualizations to be done, there's other ways of thinking, other dimensions of the future, which are not just about, is my car okay and do I have a job? And while these are really important, let me set aside some time every day, and I need to do it every day, where I meet actively, what are my expectations for the future? Question number 4 or 5, wherever we're at with that. This is all for later, right? Your evening meditation. What are my expectations for my future? I cannot control the whole world and the troubles that are going on at the minute. I cannot control that. I can only control my response to it. What kind of life do I want? What feelings? And I remember listening to a talk by someone I have a lot of respect for in terms of the ideas that they share. And she just said this really simple phrase, and it was, and actually it was about God, which was really beautiful. And again, depending on how you feel about that, I don't know who's on this forum. For myself, I have a very strong connection with this being. And we can speak a bit about this later, and you can see how it feels for you. And what I loved about this really simple statement, it was, God wants me to have a response which is suitable, a response which is right. And I thought, this is not about a response of fear. It's not about a response of guilt. It's not a response of anger. I am being, as a spiritual practitioner, I am being trained for a response which is right, the calm, benevolent response. And I love that. I've been going round and round in my head for a long time, hence sharing it with you. Are my responses reasonable, right, appropriate? Is it an appropriate response? So the T in let go is trying to prove myself. So this is, for me, this is about who am I living for? You know, what am I living for? What's motivating me to hang on to old ideas or old arguments or relationships? Is it about being right? So in Raj Yoga, you know, we talk about a battling mind is still trying to prove something. I'm still trying to prove that I'm okay, that I'm right. So that's still a lot of resistance, you know. So what I love about the meditation side, once I've taken that on as an insight in theory, what I love about meditation is just sitting and holding that question to myself. Am I still proving I'm right? Am I still trying? Do I still need to prove that I'm right? I'm okay? Does it matter? Who am I living for? I'm living for me. All that energy that I'm using trying to prove I'm right, and that's sort of living for everybody else, isn't it? Oh, let that go. That would be nice. So these are the experiences we have in meditation when we hold this concept of letting go in theory, and then we just let it go, and we hold it there. Very nice. And also, I suppose what might come up, definitely it came up for me, was another insight, is that it's not the action, you know, it's not even the justification of the, oh, I am right, or I am hurt, or I am really embarrassed by that. But actually, it's the suffering that comes from trying to keep it. And of course, the Buddhists, fantastic. They know all about that, you know, the insight that comes when I look at that. It's not the actual argument, it's the pain the hurt that I take from the feeling of blame or embarrassment or whatever it is. You know, these are things to look at. If I'm really serious about letting go and moving on to a future where I have appropriate responses to everything. And so let go, G is for a generous heart. And I heard this story just recently. It was this morning, so I'm going to share it with you. It was really lovely. And it was someone describing how they were still thinking about someone that they loved, but this person had passed on or left the body and died. And so as a spiritual practitioner, one of the things we explore is attachment, you know, this, again, this aspect of letting go. Can I just, can I look at why I'm hanging on to something? And when you are practicing and looking at these things, you think, oh, surely I've shifted that by now. You know, oh, that would be nice to let go of that by now. You can have a little bit of maybe negativity for yourself anyway. So this person was quite young when she was experiencing this, quite a young practitioner. And she'd gone to a senior meditator and she'd said, I'm still thinking about this one. And the implication was that there was sadness and sorrow linked to the one who has passed away. Yeah. But also there was the heaviness in the one who was remembering that. So I get the heaviness when I'm thinking about that person who's gone. But as a meditator, I'm thinking, you know, I need something else to help me let that go. And this very experienced yogi said, you are giving them sakash. And in Raj Yoga, we use this term sakash a lot, actually. And it's this idea that I can sit in this very beautiful state of consciousness of myself as a spiritual being, a soul. And I can share light, and I can share love, and I can share power. And this is a really Oh, it's very gorgeous. You try it out. It's very, very lovely. And it's indicative of a really generous heart, an open mind and an open heart. So this person had been said, you are giving them zakat. And straight away she was explaining that changed the whole dynamic from, oh, sorrow and sadness and heaviness, and oh, it's really hard not to remember them. Shifted it completely to, well, why not remember them? Give them a lot of love and a lot of light. And I was on a talk a while ago. I think what it was. Oh yes, I was in Brighton, in virtual Brighton, and it was on the power of. I was trying to think now. It's just coming into my mind. Happy hormones. That's right. And I had a question about death. So please don't ask me lots of questions about death. I'll share one little thing here. Because what I was saying was, please, I am not qualified to talk about anything to do with counselling or anything like that. And there are so many beautiful charities out there like Cruse, because death is in the air, right? There's been a lot of people suffered those losses. Certainly in terms of trying to explain that, one is definitely go and get counselling. One, if you need that, go somewhere like Cruse and get all of their experience and let them help you. And then as a spiritual practitioner, sit and give this one that has gone a lot of love, a lot of light. Open your heart. Let it go. Let the light go. And move forward into a future which in 2 days' time, 2 weeks' time, 2 months' time will be full of light and a sense of empowerment, as opposed to suffering and loss. So this is the way we use that spirituality. This is the application of spiritual theory in real life. Oh, I love that. So where are we? Let's go. Oh yeah, okay. So O is for out of your comfort zone. So we don't like change. We fear change and the consequences. We were talking about this yesterday, this morning as well on our sort of local Northern forum. But anyway, this is from Raj Yoga perspective, which works for me, and so I will share it. Actually, as we've moved through time, and definitely we have a sense that we have many lives, we have many births, and maybe imprinted, well, I would say definitely, you may have an open mind. That as we move through time, we lose power of ourselves as spiritual beings, and we buy more and more into the external world. So imprinted in my memory bank is this sort of loss of power, a loss of values, a loss of love, loss. And so it's really, really hard to cope when we're out of our comfort zone, when we're being asked to let go or move on. Because deeply ingrained in my memory, in my subconscious, is this is really hard. I need to be in control because it's going to really hurt. I'm too tired. I can't cope. So again, meditation, really, really important to sit and hold the non-comfort zone. Because by virtue of the letting go and moving on, I am going to be out of my comfort zone. And I can understand it. So you're listening, maybe you've turned off, but you're listening to me maybe. And there's the theory, there's the ideas. But to bring it into my own heart, I need to sit with myself. And I need to hold that space of watching how I respond. Am I responding appropriately to change? And so that leads us to the M. We're going to go for move on now. So let's just check the time. Yeah, we're okay, actually. The M would be then for these memories. So just link that last one. So we are living situations over and over again. When we are stuck in them, we live them over and over again. And that's our memory banks. In Raj Yoga, we call them waste thoughts, actually, because there's a sense that I can't do anything with them. They just go over and over and over. I don't steer them anywhere. I don't let go of them. They keep me blocked. Interesting, if I go back to this sense of identity, they keep me, the illusion is that I care. If I go over and over that sad moment, it must mean I care, isn't it? Because if I stopped reliving those memories, then maybe that means I don't care anymore, and we can't have that. So I'll just keep living the memories. And I remember when my mum passed on, and so again, I sort of taken that story, but so I was right there by her side, and there is this sense that when you're with someone, if you can apply your spirit, what you know spiritually, not just leave it as the theory, but apply it. So there's the sort of worst case scenario of real life. And so sending to the soul a lot of love, a lot of light, a lot of power. You can go now, we'll be fine. And so now when I look back on that time, it is filled with empowerment, and it is, yeah, okay, there is some sadness. I would love her to still be around, that would be great, but she's not. So there's the reality. So moving away from that wheel of tiredness and the energy that just drains us, just drains us and drains us. And I was thinking as well, often we get stuck there, not just because of loss, but because of embarrassing moments. And maybe relevant at the moment is loss. But I know for myself, I'm sure it's not at all with any of you. There are embarrassing moments, or times when I was just not the best I could be. I was not very royal. And we don't want to admit that. I don't want to admit that myself, maybe, or maybe I've been with someone and I know they don't care or they don't love me, and we don't like that. We don't want to admit that someone doesn't love us. So if I'm still holding those embarrassing moments and they're going round and round and they pull me, I need to use a particular tool, in a sense. Again, in psychology, it's called reframing the past. So instead of blaming myself that I wasn't good enough, or it didn't work, or it was me, or it wasn't right. So Raja Yoga, actually, we call that power to face. Let me sit quietly. Let me turn around and face myself. Let me have knowledge of it. Oh, yes, that was just not feel right. And then the meditation comes in, that I am a thinking, feeling being of life and light. And inside me is huge potential for freedom and love and letting go. So when these very lovely energies of the self come up, and the theory of what I want to change comes up, and I bring them together, then I have a realization. And it is this realization, again, I said it earlier, which is the tipping point. And for me, very much is, do I want my future to be just like my past? Or do I want to release all of that blocked energy? Once again, I reiterate, it doesn't mean I like it. It doesn't mean I agree with that situation in the past. It doesn't mean that I like it or agree with it. It doesn't mean I align with it. But it is as it is. So letting it go doesn't mean I have said it's right. But I have accepted that it is as it is. No time machine, can't go back. And I definitely, several years ago, went through some very embarrassing moments. And somebody said to me, in a few years' time, Sarah, it will be water under the bridge. And I loved that they said that to me. And I took that on, and I have never lost that. It will be water under the bridge, and water flows, if I let it. If I stop blocking it, it just flows. And it takes all the stuff with it. So can I flow? Can I move it on? Can I move it away? And what I need for that would be O, and that would be to observe myself. And I love this. Again, psychology calls it meta-aware. Research calls it meta-aware. So I'm watching myself, and then even above that, I'm watching myself watching myself. So this is where meditation comes in. Or actually, excuse me, not necessarily meditation. Sometimes you might catch yourself watching yourself. This is good. It means I'm creating a space between my emotions and me, the thinking, feeling being. So there's the space, right? Often we are stuck. There's me, the being, and I'm just acting it all out. And there's all my feelings, and it's all jumbled up. But when I become the watcher, I separate that. And there's just this lovely space. So I watch my emotions up and down. But I am a soul, consciousness, a thinking, feeling being of light and life. This is a beautiful spiritual awareness. And when we are in this state, we are really neutral. We have no emotions. The emotions are tied up to my identity, my relationships, my job, yeah, like we said earlier, the money I've got or don't have. That's the emotion. But when I'm in soul consciousness, I'm really ambivalent, you know, it's okay, it's no problem. So, yeah, you know, spirituality says you can change your mind at any time. So sometimes we're with people, we get stuck, we agree, isn't it terrible? Isn't it terrible? We come home, we think, well, it's not actually that terrible. But maybe I shouldn't say that because maybe they'll think I'm not agreeing with them. I don't agree with them. So coming back to the self, coming deep into the self, and creating a gap with my emotions, really. This is really useful. So where are we? Just trying to think of the thing. Yeah, time is okay. V. Oh yes, okay. So V is for volunteer. So I have to want to do this. Excuse me, this letting go thing. It has to mean something to me. Otherwise, it's just another project. We like projects that they occupy us and they keep us busy and they keep us distracted. And it's just another project that I may or may not be good at. So I will take on a value for the letting go. I will judge myself. It will take on a success rating. I can do this, I can't do that. I can let that go, but I can't let that go. It becomes very absolute. I can, I can't, I can, I can't. But I am choosing to let go and move on. I might not. And so it will be gradual. It will be an energy shift. It will be a thought shift. It will be a feeling shift. Not because somebody said it, not because I feel obliged to, but because I understand the commitment to myself. I'm just going to have a little drink of water, excuse me. So I'm doing this because I understand the commitment to myself. I want a future, right? Where I respond appropriately. This is very nice. So question, am I ready to let go? Do I want to let go? Or am I doing it because someone says I should? And how do I feel about that? The next letter will be E, and that is for energy. So again, one of my own learning is really in my best state, in my best spiritual state, in my highest state, in my pure potential state, I am light. I am easy and flexible, and I give, you know, we give off vibration, very beautiful. And there's that question, isn't there, that maybe defines this, which is, what do you like better, to receive a gift or to give a gift? And I don't know what you feel about that, but for many people, of course, the giving of it. And I think that defines us as human beings. We love to give, not necessarily because we think they will like it, but from our heart, it opens our heart. And especially at the minute, quite easy to have a very hardened heart, because the heart closes down when we're frightened and fearful, and we have to take risks. So letting go and moving on is a bit of a risk. So it's really easy for my heart just to, my feelings really just to stop. Let's not go there. That's a little bit risky. It's going to involve something new and change. Nope. But when we start giving things, our heart opens. There's this beautiful energy between my thoughts and my feelings, and I open up and be free and easy and light. So this is a lovely energy cycle, really. And I'm just going to tell you a story that when I first went to India, one of my first sessions, our spiritual headquarters are in India, top of the mountain of Mount Abu in Rajasthan. And so I went, so maybe it was my second, third time there, and I was with a group of people, and we decided to hire a couple of jeeps and go on a tour around the mountain to lots of different places, and to stop here and to stop there. And if any of you, I'm sure many of you have been to India, or even come from India, and it's just fascinating, and there's sights and sounds and smells and all sorts going on. But absolutely gorgeous. So it was a warm day. I'm thinking it must have been Christmas. So the sun was shining, the sky was blue, a little bit like today, actually. So warm in the sun, but cool in the shade. So I have my clothes on, and I have a brand new, bought for the occasion, lovely little fleece jacket. So that's fine. I took it to India for just that reason. So I take it with me, and that's it. We get in the Jeep and off we go. And we get in and out of all these different places. And then we stop for tea. So we stop at one of the hotels on the top of the mountain. Used to be an old palace, very beautiful. We all get out, we order tea, and we sit in the luxury of these beautiful surroundings. Just before I got out, I thought, oh, it's so warm now. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll just leave my jacket in the Jeep. So I say to the driver, I say, I'm leaving my jacket in the Jeep. We'll still be with the same Jeep. Yes, no problem, same Jeep. And that's right for me, because we've been in and out as we put around in the same Jeep and the same guys. No problem. So I go in, and I have tea, and when we come out, no Jeeps and no drivers. And I think, okay, no Jeeps, no drivers, no jacket. And sure enough, 5 minutes later, 2 completely different Jeeps come around the corner with a whole different set of people. And I say, oh, the other Jeeps? No, they have gone. They have finished now. We will take you now back to the spiritual meditation center. And I say, but I have left my jacket in the other Jeep. Don't worry, I will find it. So we all get in the Jeep, and talk about waste thoughts. All I could think of was my jacket, and the fact that it had been taken, stolen even. I did not have it anymore. I had bought it especially for that. And now what will I do? Well, you can imagine the things that go on. We get back to the meditation center, and it doesn't appear. And I say again to the driver, jacket? Yes, no problem. Next day, no jacket. I sit there in meditation, and I'm a bit cross. It's not that it was a lot of money. It wasn't that. It was the principle. And I sit there in meditation, and I have this really, really lovely thought. I'm going to give my jacket away. And so whoever gets it, great, enjoy it. Enjoy that beautiful warm jacket. And may you enjoy the jacket. And in that moment when I gave it away, I ended up roaring with laughter at myself, having done this is terrible. What about my jacket scenario? And I loved this. It was a real insight into when we change our mindset and we let go and we move on into a future, which in this case was only 30 minutes later, where I just give. can I give to you this one that I have been arguing with for years? Can I give you a blessing, which is a sort of message of power? And can I help you out of it as I can help me out of it, just with good wishes? These are very, very deep and ancient spiritual wisdoms. You know, can you have your own back? Can you align yourself with yourself? Can you fill your thoughts full of power and then send them out? And I'm looking at the time and I'm seeing the last two letters. O was for oneness with myself. This is move on. And this is what happens when we meditate again, this level of soul consciousness. We generate vibrations, energy, waves. And there's an interface, you know, the interface between the soul, the being, and me, the sort of physical body, if you like. It's vibration. So when I get myself into a place of higher order thinking and a place of giving, a place of building my future full of strongness and stability, then that is the vibration that I carry through my body and out into the world. And actually, not even just through my body, but that will, you know, affect my organs, the organs of the brain. Again, psychology is looking at how thought processes may change neural pathways. That's building new habits, new beliefs. So inside my head, me, am I peaceful? Am I practicing peace? So these are real examples of being active. You know, I am actively letting go and moving on. And then the final N would be, the result of that would be some newness. And it would be newness that I have aimed for, that I have scaffolded, that I have wanted to be part of, that I have built. And again, in Raj Yoga, we often have the story of, you know, you don't move into a new house until you've built your old house. So the last N is, I have built my new house and I've moved in. Metaphorically speaking, of course, the house being my new mindset, my ability to let go and to move on. So I'm going to stop there, and that is that. I'm going to fiddle around a bit and see if there's anything in the chat.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you. If you've got some answers to some more questions after you've given us all of that for the last 3/4 of an hour to an hour, it'd be wonderful. Your insights are fantastic.
Well, like you, Margaret, and I'm sure like many people, you know, after a number of years, you do come to these realizations. You think, right, I don't want to think normal stuff. I don't want to think ordinary stuff. And we have social responsibilities and professional responsibilities, but in between all of that, you know, what else is there? Is there another dimension of how I can see the world really? And it's important, right? Yeah. Okay, so I think my instructions are to read them out. So we've got a question here. Let's have a look. Just moving around my screen a bit. I don't dominate it. So what was the T? What was the T for? Oh, okay. The T was for trying to prove myself. You know, what am I living for, and who am I living for? And yeah. Okay. So that's a good question for you to have a look at for yourself. Okay, question number 2. Could you please elaborate on what you mean by letting go? Is it letting go of control, letting go of your past, letting go of pain? Yes, it is all of that. And so maybe a good process is to choose a situation that you might want to let go of. We could do that very quickly together if you like. So So we are not going into the feeling of it, right? So this is just a sort of experiment. If you go too deeply into the feeling of it right now, you will be very sad, possibly. So we don't want that. We're just going to have a little experiment to show the process. So find something you might want to let go of. It could be a relationship. It could be an embarrassing time. And generally it will be in the past. So I'm letting go of my past because that's where things happened. But the dynamics of that situation will show themselves as many things, one of many things, many of many things. And so you've written here, let it, about being in control, yes. If you look at that situation, it was because I was not in control. Maybe even worse, someone was in control of me. And that will have, whichever way it will have resulted in pain. Or anger. Anger is just pain. Anger is about fear. So if I'm feeling pain, I'm going to be frightened. I'm going to be angry, probably. And this is where meditation or processing, we call it churning actually in Raj Yoga. Churning means I take the milk in the bucket and I thrush it around a bit. And if I keep going, it becomes butter. And if I keep going, it becomes cheese. And if I add a few things to it, it becomes yogurt. So you're taking the idea and you're following it through. You are following it through. You have that capacity to find out what it is that is at the heart of it. But it takes a bit of courage. And I think that's where maybe humanity falls over a bit, because all of my energy is going out there, work and judging others and saying, isn't this terrible? And looking outside of myself, and all my energy is gone, trying to hold the world afloat. But when I sit in, not even meditation, when I sit with myself and my cup of tea and my notebook, and I use that energy to face myself, I will see that moment where I didn't like it, where there was pain, to do with being frightened, and what's this. So following that, really. And again, we don't have enough time to go. You could ask Margaret, could we have the next session, please, on how to deal with fear and pain? So there we go. Okay, how can you keep persevering? Yeah, you know, where I work at the minute, we have 6 core values, and one of them is persevering. And persevering means don't give up. And I feel this is a really benevolent concept. And it's quite hard, isn't it? I do actually feel as well that and this is myself as I would say I'm a pretty independent practitioner of meditation. But I need other people. I definitely do need others to say, don't give up, Sarah. And so Margaret will know, I pop up online on little Zooms, and they do not say to me, don't give up. We don't even use those words. But what we do is we talk about our feelings and our thoughts, and I hear their stories and I think, wow, they didn't give up. Okay, that's really inspiring. I'm not going to give up either. So it's important, if I can't do it myself, find other people who are and listen to them and copy them. Yeah, you copy them. I don't say don't beg them and don't worship them, but copy them. Okay, question number 4. Okay, troubled past. I find it difficult to trust people when I meet them for the first time. Trust is precious and I don't give it freely. How can I build trust back in people without being critical? Yeah, it's a goodie. I had a little insight into that. I will share it. You can see how it feels for you. And I'm acutely aware, as I said at the beginning, this session that we are all in different places in terms of awareness, and I think power. We need to face ourselves to get powerful, and we also need a battery charger. So for me, that's God, a point of light. So I'm a point of light, God's a point of light, and I just sit there and I sit in front of this light. And if you're regular Raj Yogi Upparas, then you will see lots of pictures like that, this beautiful light of God. And I sit in front of God and I just absorb that light. And I absorb that power in me. Okay, so that's one way to get insight and courage. And insight and courage is what I need to trust. And I'll share the little story, if I may, which is this. Many, many years ago, I lived with someone, and it was not the smoothest of relationships, although it was very loving in its own way. And I just started meditating, and I was trying to find out what was really going on. And because at any given time, I would say something and the response, the reaction was not what I expected. And it was a little bit random. And when I got to the bottom of it, what kept popping up for me is, I don't trust this person. I can't predict their behavior. So note, I can't predict their behavior. That's not about them. That's about me. I can't predict their behavior. So when you're asking, how can I build trust? It really is about looking at my own relationship with chaos, looking at my own relationship with unpredictability. That's the beginning of it. When I'd identified that, I realized that. So sometimes I would put the key in the door, and I got to the point where I really didn't know how that was going to be and how I was going to feel about it. Insight number 2, I was allowing their response to control my feelings. I would be all tense with my key in the door. What are they going to say? And so there was me feeling all that. So then the third one, as I became more comfortable and I realized it's absolutely not them, it's definitely me. It's not me that's unpredictable, but it is me that's unpredictable, actually, because I cannot predict how I will feel in the light of their unpredictability. And so I realized it's not them I don't trust. I mean, it is, but it's me I don't trust. I don't trust myself to be stable in the face of this one's responses. I don't trust myself to be calm and peaceful or powerful in the face of this chaos. I think if we look around the world today, and I'm taking it big rather than personal, individually and collectively, I imagine trust is a huge issue with so many people. Because if I can't trust myself to stay stable in the face of chaos, then on the macro, micro level, I really can't trust anybody, because I don't know how they're going to respond. And one day we might feel we have a relationship which is going well, and one day you might come out with something unpredictable. And I will say, oh, that's you, that you've done that. How dare you be like that? Actually, it's more about me not having the tools to be stable in those environments. And again, I do not say that with judgment. It is not about judgment on anything. It is just about this. Let me sit away from my emotions that come when I say I can't trust or I don't trust, and let me gather insight, power, and let me shine it on that, and let it soften, let it change. So you need to ask Margaret for a whole session on how do I trust. There's another one. Okay, question number 5. Shall we do 2 more and then have a meditation, and then I think it's time to stop? Question 5, how do you let go when people hurt you? I struggle to let go while maintaining boundaries. Yeah. Boundaries are really interesting, and I feel they are linked to trust. A lot of people used to ask me about their children. How do I control my children? How do I get them to settle? And my response would be the same. Do you have boundaries for yourself? Do you have your own timetable? Are you clear about what you want? You know how you work? So the reason people hurt us is because I don't know myself enough, and they say something and I take it seriously. I think it's me they're talking about. They say something or they do something, and maybe I'm not feeling, again, trustworthy or stable or powerful enough. I don't say that as a judgment. It's just me, work in progress. When I feel I've been hurt, I know it's because I haven't looked at whatever it is they're saying to me. I haven't looked at it enough in myself. So again, people hurt me, I would park that and build up a practice which will help you understand yourself and the boundaries you have. That will change your whole awareness, your whole sort of insight of yourself. And then, again, in Raj Yoga, we say Om Shanti, which means I am at peace with that. I might not like it. I might not agree with it. I'm not aligning myself to it, but it is as it is. And I have the tools to respond appropriately. So last one, number 6, and I apologize that we won't get them all done, but Manish and Margaret will have them. And they can, there's another 12 topics to carry on. So let's have a look at this. Being on a spiritual path, do you have any regrets in life? Excuse me. Does it get easier? Do you find the challenges get worse? What's your best tactic that you've used in your life? Great question. Yeah, on a spiritual path. So it will start beautifully. It will start full of excitement and insight because it's new. And paradoxically, while we don't like change, we do like newness if we can control it. So taking on a spiritual path, you come up with all these insights and new people and new language, and you feel empowered or relaxed. And it's great, isn't it? And then what happens is the more you understand about yourself, the more you see the tricky bits. And not only do I see my own tricky bits, but I see that I can no longer point the finger at your tricky bits, because I see that maybe I'm a little bit tricky. And so the reason people equate a very long journey on a spiritual path with being a bit challenging is only because I start to see myself and my habits and my beliefs, which are no longer serving me. And so I want to move them on. I want to let go and move on from them because they're no longer serving me, these wrong beliefs or the way my reaction to things, my overreactions to things, my blaming of others. And so that's why it's challenging, because the spotlight then is on the inner self and the shedding of layers. And again, Raj Yoga, very clear, for me, very clear, shedding of the layers of skins of many births. The flip side of that is, again, if I do it in a community which is light and loving and we're all doing it together, and I say, oh, like I've said to Margaret, we've been on beautiful long journeys together, me and Margaret, this, and oh my goodness, this. And Margaret will laugh and she'll say, I know, Sarah, this and this and this. And so finding other people in a spiritual community is good. And maybe a last point on that, you know, it's a journey. And we live in a world where I can only really speak for myself, but I feel it also in myself, that there's a sort of expectation of getting things done immediately. You know, an email comes, act on it now. A phone call comes, answer it now. And I feel that habit goes into our spiritual path. We pull in all of our habits into our spiritual practice. So I've been doing this for 2 weeks and I haven't cracked it yet. I've been meditating for 4 months and I still can't sit still very well. I can't do it for 3 hours yet. So spiritual journey, spirituality, benevolence, kind to the self. Yes, let me change. I'm a volunteer. If I want to change, let me change. Let me inform myself. Let me meditate and join those together and change. But let me be light and full of love for myself. Let me connect to a higher being, to God, to the powerhouse. Let me connect to a spiritual family. It's a journey. It's the future. I let go and I move on. So I am going to stop there because we've run out of time, if that's okay. And maybe finish with a meditation, Margaret. Is that right? Yeah, thank you. Okay. So actually, I wanted to share a bit of a meditation. It is not mine. And I still listen to some very beautiful meditations. And in Australia, we have a really creative group of people, and they put together lots of meditations from our morning spiritual practice. We read a text and they take parts of that and they put music on the background. It's really powerful. The words are very powerful. So I am not going to claim anything for this. This is a very beautiful meditation, which I must just have to read it. Actually, let me drag it around. Okay, I'm going to put it here. And so it's an adaptation of a meditation written maybe a decade ago, actually. And it's about letting go and moving on. There is an external world and an internal world. We let all the things of the old world inside. If we listen to everything, let it in, things of violence and hatred go inside. God is teaching us to create an internal world of peace, of happiness, and spiritual wealth. So be free of stress and distress, free of anger. God tells us how to be free, reminding us that we are souls, spiritual beings of light. Let me experience myself as a being of light, quiet, still. I make myself complete and stable inside. I let go of looking at others. I let go of remembering their actions. I let go of anger. For the one with whom I got angry will not forget. I'm not trying to prove myself as a sign of my own anger. Let me remain deep inside, quiet. As I soothe myself in this way, I steer my thoughts in this way. I generate trust, openness, and love for myself and towards others. I generate power to understand myself and others. And I let the river of good wishes flow for myself and others. In this way, I let go and I move to a future full of calm and peace. And if I've closed my eyes, I open them. Take a deep breath and breathing out. Have a little stretch.